Joining me right now is Harvard Law Professor Emeritus and author of Trumped Up, Alan Dershowitz. Alan, good to see you. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you.
So you're going to be giving a lecture at Columbia University tonight addressing free speech. What are you expecting? Are you expecting that you're going to see protesters? What do you make of these college campus protesters?
Well, I'm told there will be not only protesters. Protesters are protected by the Constitution, but there will be efforts to try to shout me down, not allow me to express my relatively moderate views to students who want to hear me. The entire event is sold out. There are many, many students who want to hear what I have to say. I was a professor for 50 years at Harvard. I'm not one of these extremists who just comes to the campus to provoke, even though they're protected by the First Amendment as well. And I hope Columbia University will provide security not only for my safety, but for the safety of students and for the expression of my views. But remember that freedom of speech means that you have to support the right of those who you disagree with. That means that the students who are against my views have to be tolerant of me expressing my views. But it also means that although I disagree, for example, with football players kneeling during the national anthem, I'm not going to try to deny them their right to do that. So, you know, it's never going to be free speech for me, but not for thee. It has to go across both sides, and we have to have equal free speech for the right and the left. And we're seeing universities trying to stop the right and the center from speaking, and we're seeing in some places, efforts to try to prevent protesters on the left from expressing their points of view. Both have to be protected under the Constitution.
Alan, as you said, you have been a professor at Harvard for 50 years, so you've seen a lot of generations of kids coming in and out of college campuses. Is there something different about the generation you're seeing now? I mean, there's always been protests on campus. Are young people today different than they were 20, 30 years ago when you were teaching?
Well, very much so. When I was a student at Brooklyn College in the 1950s, there was a lot of censorship. It was censorship by the right of the left. It was called McCarthyism, and many of us fought against that kind of censorship. Today, many on the left who are fighting for their free speech rights in the 50s are fighting to deny free speech, and many on the right are saying, wait a minute, we have the right to express our views on college campuses. I think today's college students think they know the truth. They don't have to hear an opposing point of view. I'm not saying all students. It's actually a small number of censors, but they can shut down a university. And college administrators haven't been as strong as they should be in standing up to these students. Many of these students are minority students. They're gay, they're transgender, they're women. They're the specially privileged students on college campuses today who are listened to by university administrators under this banner of intersectionality. Intersectionality says that all of these groups are oppressed by the same people, and the people who oppress them are Americans, Christians, Zionists, people who have opposing points of view. And so we're seeing increasing censorship on college campuses, not only in public events like mine tonight, but in the classroom itself. Classrooms have become propaganda vehicles where captive audiences of students are told not how to think, but what to think, particularly about sensitive issues like the Middle East, the Arab-Israeli conflict, gay rights, Black Lives Matter, other hot-button issues. They're told what to think, and they're graded on what they think rather than how they think.
Completely against what the university should be all about in terms of diversity, Alan, right? I mean, how do you change this?
Well, first of all, no radical student wants diversity. They only want superficial diversity based on identity factors, race, gender. The last thing they want is diversity of ideas. The last thing they want is more students who are conservatives, more faculty who are conservatives, expressing different views on campus. So diversity has become a code word only for a certain kind of difference among the students, but not diversity of real ideas. And that's what I'm going to be talking about tonight at Columbia. I'm also going to be talking about the Middle East. I'm confident Columbia will protect me. I hope there won't be efforts to shout me down. But remember, I come from Brooklyn. I'm not easily shouted down, so
yeah, I come from
will
Brooklyn
have
also.
my say.
Yeah, Brooklyn is in the house. Real quick, Alan, before you go, former NFL star O.J. Simpson could get out of prison early this weekend. He had been serving out a 9 to 33-year sentence after being charged with kidnapping, armed robbery, assault with a deadly weapon. You were Simpson's lawyer when he was acquitted in 1995 for the murder of his ex-wife and her friend. Nevada's parole board did not consider O.J. Simpson's 1989 conviction for misdemeanor spousal abuse when it granted him parole in July. What's your reaction to him getting out possibly this weekend?
Well, I hope he goes away and doesn't ever show his face in public again. The American public does not want to hear from O.J. Simpson. He should have done that after the acquittal in the California case. But instead, he got on television, he got in trouble again. Look, his sentence was way excessive for what he was convicted of. He was actually being punished for what people thought he got away with in California. So I hope he will live out his life quietly, in peace and in dignity, and leave us alone, we the American public. We don't want to hear from you. You know, when I won the Klaus von Bülow case 25 years ago, I told Klaus, get out of the country. Nobody wants to see you. He moved to Great Britain. He hasn't been heard from since. He's been living a wonderful life, taking care of his grandchildren and his family. That's what O.J. Simpson ought to do.
All right, Alan, good to see you. Raising the roof for Brooklyn.
Thank you.
Good to see you, Alan Dershowitz.